In breaking news, the House Committee, led by James Comer, just released a 200-page analysis of the fraud, the alleged fraud, now true fraud, that is happening in Minnesota. What's more important, though, in this release is the connection that they've now made to Attorney General Ellison and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. Let's have a listen.
The earth-shattering report accuses Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison of knowing about fraud as far back as 2020 and ignoring or retaliating against whistleblowers.
Wow.
We had the $250 million takedown of the Feeding Our Futures campaign in Minnesota, which was supposed to be money for feeding our children. We've convicted 77 people involved in that campaign. Just the other month, back in Minnesota, a $90 million fraud against autism centers for our most vulnerable children.
Terrible.
The 200-page report says Minnesota state officials ignored warning signs about the fraud and even tried to cover it up. Walz claims he worked to find corruption through additional audits.
The buck stops with me. And as I know, some of you will take that as an open invitation to play politics with every incident of fraud that takes place here in Minnesota, even though I have to tell you, the statistics show it's happening in red states more than here, but so be it.
The report says Minnesota officials dismissed fraud probes. It says they feared accusations of racism. The committee says that Ellison met with people from Feeding Our Future, including those later convicted of fraud.
So again, this begs the question of what did Tim Walz and A.G. Ellison know, and when did they know it? It sounds like they knew a lot. And most concerning in this is that they were retaliating against the now hundreds of whistleblowers that expressed concerns about the alleged fraud for multiples of years. So they were quashing the whistleblowers, burying the tracks, and then again, it sounds like as of 2020, they were fully aware of the extent of the fraud and were concerned about racism and other concerns coming in from some of their migrant communities. But don't forget, in all of these headlines, this individual, Amy Bock, she was one of the ringleaders for one of the programs and is actually serving a federal sentence now. But the jailbirds are singing. There's no question that Comer's report and the pending investigation that's now going on into Governor Walz and A.G. Ellison is coming in from people like Amy Bock. Listen to what she said just a few months ago regarding Tim Walz.
Ringleader of the $250 million Minnesota welfare fraud scandal, telling Fox News she believes the state leaders knew taxpayer money was being stolen and did nothing to stop it.
But I guess, how high up do you think the message went that there was fraud? Like, do you think it made its way to the governor's office?
I struggle to believe it didn't. I have to believe that the governor's office and Keith Ellison's office were aware of this. They've said they were involved in helping the FBI. They've said they were made aware.
A spokesperson for the state attorney general responding, saying in part, quote, treating the words of a convicted fraudster like Amy Bock as though they have any credibility is shocking. She is a liar, fraudster, and manipulator of the highest order who has never acknowledged or accepted her guilt.
So does this sound like a typical attorney general response? No, because this tactic of getting the jailbirds to sing even when they're incarcerated is something that Ellison is very familiar with as an AG. Often the credibility of those already convicted is taken into account for future crimes and other individuals. So everything that A.G. Ellison's saying here, as far as her not having credibility and that she's a liar, a fraudster, and a manipulator, this is common order to go to those already convicted and see what they know, and see if now that they're convicted, if they would be willing to let the public know a little bit more. So this investigation in Minnesota into Tim Walz and now A.G. Ellison, it's far from over. In fact, it's just beginning. And now we know that the IRS, the Attorney General, the FBI, and now the Republican-led committees in Congress all are looking at Tim Walz and asking the basic question, of what did he know and when did he know it, and maybe more importantly, what did he do to quell or to silence the whistleblowers when they were concerned about the fraud with these taxpayer-funded programs, such as Feeding the Hungry and Autism services. Again, far from over, but I think we could all agree that A.G. Ellison and Tim Walz are having a very bad day. What do you think they're going to find? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you like videos like this, be sure to hit the like button. That helps us get this video out to more people like you and I. And if you have yet to subscribe to the Chris Locke Show, please do so. We'd love to have you along for the ride. We'll see you in the very next video. Be sure to like and subscribe to the Chris Locke Show for the latest America First news, conservative commentary, and the stories that mainstream media refuses to cover. These two videos right up here, they're going to be next. Pick your favorite. I'll see you over there.